Hello, everybody. My name is Nick. Welcome back to the Nick Gandy Experience YouTube channel. So today, I'd like to tell you one of my favorite things about playing guitar. It's playing alternate tunings. So, what is an alternate tuning, you may ask? Well, first, we have our foundational tuning, E standard, and it's changing the tuning of at least one string on the instrument, causing different variations. We have that and that and that. But we'll get to some of them though. These all make the guitar sing in a different way. That's what I say. Let's start with a simple approach to alternate tunings. One way is to tuning your instrument down a semitone or a half step. So we go from E standard right here, and we take it down a half step, and that would become E flat standard, which sounds like this. I like using it if I want to play songs in C flat. There's no C flat. That's B. What am I thinking? Where's C flat? Is there a C flat? No? No, okay. No C flat. Sorry. Like for. Oh yeah. So I like using it for A flat, E flat, and I like using it for C sharp a bit. C sharp a bit. If I wanted some lower notes to resonate, more lower notes so it can resonate, this might become a buzzword in this video. If we take it down another half step, it becomes D standard. This one's a lot of fun to play D major tunings with, and also F major and a little bit of G major as well, and G minor. Those are fun. That's a lot of fun. And then we go down to C sharp major. So that was an E major chord in the shape of a G major chord, a step and a half down. And then we go into C standard. Now you start to notice it getting a lot darker, a little bit fuller, and it doesn't require a lot of open strum picking. And then we'll take it down a little bit more to B standard. B standard is a typical tuning for seven string guitars and baritone guitars. Okay, now let's take it down another half step, B flat standard tuning. And by this point, when we've gotten to B standard, you'll actually notice something, and that's a little cheat, and this is actually a little cheat sheet. When you go into baritone tuning, when you get into the baritone tuning zone, it is all the same tuning for the first step, for the first 7 frets of the guitar. So if you capo your guitar to the 7th fret, it's in B standard, and this baritone is tuned B standard an octave down. And then we have A standard, which was the factory tuning of this baritone. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And then we take it down another half step. That becomes A flat standard. And that is the same tuning if you capo your guitar on the 4th fret. Yeah, there's where we get muddy. Now it is possible and it's slightly doable, but you have doable to play your basic cowboy chords that low. But because of how low the notes are and how close they are to each other, there's lots of friction and interference. As opposed to when you play it an octave up, there is less friction, and all those notes come together a lot better. Now let's go back to E standard. One of my favorite alternate tunings I like doing, and it's everybody's favorite, is D. It's drop D. All we gotta do is take the lowest string and drop it down a full step. A good amount of metalcore bands, and some singer-songwriters, and a few pop bands, I think, use this particular tuning. And then we do the same thing. We just take it when we go down a half step. It becomes drop C sharp, and then drop C, B flat, etc. It goes on. That goes on and on. Now we'll go back up. When we take the highest string, E string, down a full step, it's D, and it becomes a fuller D groove type of tuning. And then we'll take our A string, second to lowest, down a whole step. Then our guitar becomes open G standard. And I like using this one particularly with my lap steel guitar. Now if we take our lowest string and put it down another full step, we have a cello-esque tuning, where the first 3 strings are tuned in perfect fifths instead of perfect fourths that we would find in a standard tuning. I just love the feel of the low ends that you can't get in the same way with cowboy chords. Now let's go back a little bit. Let's do that back up. Let's do the highest back up a step to D, back up to A. Now we'll take a B string and take it down a whole step. And then we got Dadgad. So there's one alternate guitar video I found a long time ago. Traditional G chord, it sounds like this. Interesting. It's doable. It's interesting, but doable. What's really fun about Dadgad and open standard tunings is that we can do a simple chord like G major with extra stuff. And if you want to change chords, all we have to do is go up 2 frets and play A major with extra stuff. Another 2 frets, we go up to B minor with extra stuff. And then what's fun, if you take your G string, tune it down only a half step, and then it becomes open D standard tuning. So you can actually do the same type of chord with only using 2 to 3 fingers. Like say you want to use G, play G standard, so you don't have to do this shape, but now you can do this shape because the notes are more closely together by the way they are tuned. And that applies, and then you can do that same thing again by taking all of it down a half step, and it becomes open C sharp major, open C major, and there's another alternate way to tune it to a C. All right, so let's sit in C, and we'll take this up to G, and take this up to C, take it up to E. So this is another form of an open major tune. And all you have to do is use one finger to play an F chord, like an F chord right here, with extra stuff. Power chord position, you can play A minor with extra stuff. Loads and loads of fun. Now that cello type tuning I mentioned, let's go back to it real quick. I like using it in lower tunings when the lower tunings require a longer scale and thicker strings. We would take it a perfect fifth downwards into this F type tuning. That's what I used when I did my short cover video of Meshuggah. And my first ever Riff Monday video back in 2018, doing an intro part from a song from the Civil Wars. And for me, it does take a lot of experimenting to find out and working with a particular scale length. Because for my situation, I have instruments that range from 23 to 24 inch scale length, all the way up to 30. And it all depends on the age, how cheap or expensive the hardware is on for each instrument. Will the quality of the electronics hold up and properly express said tunings? Because what I've learned, the shorter the scale length and the lower the tuning, the darker the sound will be. And I have the little blue guitar set in drop B on this verb, and boy is it dark. So let's say I play one note on the little guitar set in B. And I play the low string on my baritone telly in B. It all depends on the thickness of the string and the length of it, because it can either be very wobbly or be very sturdy. Lots of experimenting. So let's say we're gonna use the 10 to 46 string pack as a main example. That's pretty common. That's pretty common to use for E standard and E flat standard, and you can push it at least down to C sharp standard before it becomes spaghetti tune. Then it'll be time to up the string size. And with this big disclaimer, As it does require a lot of trial and error, it will still cause wear and tear on the hardware you're using. In some cases, it will require alternate, like carving open the string slots on the nut and possibly the bridge, and most likely your tuning machines. And that's something to be cautious of because you cannot reverse it, as switching out hardware sometimes can be expensive. So if you want to experiment and desire to never ever go back to E standard for at least one guitar, if you have one guitar and you want to change it, want to alternate the instrument to fit the alternate tuning of your liking, I say go for it. No problem. Absolutely no problem with that. Let the imagination run wild. That's what we all say. I remember watching a Paul Davids video where he talked about one guy named Robert Fripp who experimented a possibly new type of standard tuning. So remember the cello tuning that we talked about right here? So it'll still be all tuned in perfect fifths. So C, G, D, A, and then we tune it up all the way to E, and then we got G. And G is a bit of a stretch because you have to use a very thin string, at least 8 or 7, but even those two are prone to break eventually, depending on the scale length. For a small scale like my blue one, I think you'll be okay. But if you're at a standard 24.75 to 25.5 inch scale length instrument, you have to be cautious about that. So some of my favorite alternate tunings is one I found through William Fitzsimmons. So you take your guitar in E flat standard, and you tune your low E string and your lowest string up a half step to E, and the same thing for your B string from B flat up to B. That's very pretty. He's used it in songs like Fortune, Lions, and Apart. And Joni Mitchell famously used open D tuning for a lot of her songs. Even that famous song Iris by Google Dolls uses a very interesting tuning. So the lowest tuning is B. So it's the same B on a baritone guitar, and then the rest is D in its respective octaves. Now that's a pretty easy song to play. We're going to play, huh? Loads and loads of bands and artists have used alternative tunings, especially drop D type tunings, especially Slipknot, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Flyleaf, Skillet, Red, Attack, even Beartooth, Skillet, yeah. If I didn't say them already, Demon Hunter, lots of bands, lots of singer-songwriters. Even myself, we enjoy them because we love expanding our vocabulary onto our instruments. The purpose of it all is to have fun. It requires trial and error. So if you ever feel in a rut, just change the tuning of one string, or even get a heavier string set and go chug away. Thank you all for tuning in and bearing with me on my ramblings, and I'll see you next time.